My friends, when I was your age, I was deeply unhappy. I wasn't just deeply unhappy, I was depressed. I wasn't just depressed, I was suicidal. I spent a lot of my time at your age thinking about killing myself. So the breakthrough was when I was just before I turned 21. I met a Buddhist nun. So I asked her this question. I say, what do you have in your Buddhism that deals with suffering? And the Sunim says, all of Buddhism is about dealing with suffering. And I was like, whoa. It's that I spent so many years searching for the solution to my pain. I found nothing in many years. With one sentence by the Sunim, I knew I was this close to the answer. I didn't know what the answer was, but I knew I was this close. So by coincidence, that same Venerable was giving a speech the week after that. So I went to her talk. In the middle of her speech, she said one sentence. She said, it is all about cultivating the mind. And I had the feeling like as if somebody opened the floodgates and 1,000 gallons of water just rushed in. It was like suddenly everything in my life made sense. Like everything made sense. And I remember telling myself in the middle of the lecture, I said, from this moment on, right here, right now, I'm a Buddhist. And I'm going to learn meditation, no matter how hard it is. It was the best decision I've ever made in my life. So I became determined to learn this meditation thing. But eventually, I figured it out. So my friends, the good news I want to share with you is that in addition, I learned it, and then it cured me of my depression. My depression went away, my suicidal tendencies went away, and I became a happy person. So that's the good news. There is even better news for you, which is that in addition to finding happiness, it turns out that whatever I learned in the meditation practice also was very useful in helping me become successful. So you're all very young. I know life is hard, for young people especially. Yeah. Every generation, they tell you, they say the younger people have it easy. Yeah, don't believe them. Every generation, you have your own suffering. I say that because when I was your age, I heard the same thing. The older people say, oh, young people have it easy. And it added to my depression. Because I tell myself, if I have it easy and I'm so unhappy, what hope do I have? So for those of you who think that life is hard, you're suffering, don't feel bad about it. It is hard and you are suffering. So I will share with you some of the things I learned that could help you become better people and also help you succeed in life. Sounds good? Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to talk to you is there are three broad categories. The three broad categories are attention training, self-knowledge and self-mastery, and kindness and compassion. And I'll go into what they mean. So first, what do I mean by attention training? Okay, here I want to do an exercise with everybody. Okay, I tell you what the exercise is, and then after that we do it, okay? This will be, let me see, I'll be nice to you, 20 seconds. So in 20 seconds, I'd like you to do this. I'd like you to bring a gentle but total attention to the process of breathing. And every time your attention wanders away, just very gently bring it back. Sounds good? Okay, the 20 seconds begins now. Attention to the breathing. And thank you for your attention. So if I were to do this in Google, which I did, if the engineers will tell me this is useless. And the engineer will say, wait, I bring attention to the breath, it wanders away, I bring it back. How could this possibly do me any good? To explain that, let's pretend that nobody in this audience heard of this thing called physical fitness. So pretend you never heard of physical fitness, and then pretend we just did like one bicep curl. you should be asking the same question. Say, how could this possibly do me any good? Say, wait. I take a heavy object, I move it up, I move it down. That's so stupid. Yeah, how can this possibly be good for me? However, if you understand physical fitness, you know the answer, which is every time you do one of this, your muscles strengthen a little bit more. So if you do a lot of this, what happens? You develop a quality called strength. And now you have the power to do things you never imagined doing before because you are strong. In the same way, what you did just now in 20 seconds is when every time your attention wanders away, you bring it back. It's like doing one bicep curl for the brain. Specifically, you are training this part of the brain called the prefrontal cortex. This is a part of the brain that is related to attention and executive thinking. When you have a strong prefrontal cortex, what happens? You begin to master the deployment of attention. And the first implication of that, and the parents will like this, first implication is you can study better, right? Because if attention is weak, you read, attention goes away. And if attention is strong, you can stay on the materials. So then you might ask, is there scientific proof to what I just said? I came across a fascinating scientific study. So they got two groups of students, students. Okay. So it's random, right? Randomly assigned. So half the students, by the way, these people, they never meditated in their lives before. Right. Half these students, they were taught meditation, what we did together, for 20 minutes a day for 5 days. So they had a total of 100 minutes of practice. And so 100 minutes, less than 2 hours, by the way, right? And that 100 minutes of practice, they made a difference in their SAT scores. Yes, or the parents were like, so it will help you succeed in that sense. But even more than that, it helps you in another more important way, which is that it increases the clarity and the calmness of your mind. And with that, something else happens, which is you become more able to regulate your reactions. So what does that mean? So very often we get angry. The way it happens is there's a part of the brain inside, very old part of the brain called the amygdala. The job of the amygdala is to detect danger. If the amygdala sees a threat, it will activate and take over the whole brain. For example, if you see a tiger coming at you, amygdala takes over immediately. And your body now becomes like in a state where you are ready to fight or run away. Your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure goes up, and your muscle becomes tense, which is good because it kept us alive as a species. But in modern times, we seldom see tigers on the street. I've been to Gangnam many times. I've never seen a tiger in Gangnam. So what do we perceive as a threat these days? Somebody say something to us. Yeah.
Okay, during the test.
During a test, yes. During a test, yes. Something you see on social media about you. So there are a lot of triggers in life that causes you to be stressed, to be angry, and to be in the state of like, So the question is, how do you solve that? In a sense, so previously people say it's unsolvable because the amygdala is a very old part of the brain. There's nothing you can do about it. However, more recent research shows that the prefrontal cortex can downregulate the amygdala. And the stronger your PFC, the more it's able to downregulate the amygdala. So that simple exercise that you did, which feels stupid, like I concentrate my breath, it has implications that go into the ability to downregulate your most aggressive and most negative emotions. Yeah. And it goes even beyond that. There is a faculty called response flexibility. Between stimulus and response, there's always a space. Now, stimulus means something happens, something you see, something happened to you, and response is what you do in the reaction to that. For most people, that space is very small. However, if you have a strong PFC, what it does is it expands the space between stimulus and response, and it allows you to respond more wisely to the situation. And that has implications in leadership. So what is a leader? Basically, a leader is somebody who can think under fire. Imagine in a situation, that is very bad, and everybody's panicking. And you alone, because you have this practice, you alone can stay calm when everybody's panicking. Everybody looks at you, and consciously in their heart, unconsciously, they think this person is a leader. Because that is leadership, and it's a trainable quality. Let me share a story with you. So during the American invasion of Iraq, so there was a situation where there was a platoon of heavily armed US soldiers in Baghdad. And then for some reason, they were surrounded by an angry mob of local Iraqis. And they're all unarmed civilians. So imagine yourself in that situation. Imagine you're the officer in charge of the platoon. All those guns that you have, the machine guns and everything, surrounded by a huge mob of angry people who are unarmed. What do? You think about it, every option sucks. There is no good option in that situation. So fortunately, this young officer in charge, he had that ability to calm his mind and think. So his order to his troops was, everybody lower your guns and smile. And then the angry mob stopped coming towards them. And then eventually they dispersed. Nobody died. That is the power of this practice. So this is part 1, the attention training of the attention. So part 2 is self-knowledge that leads to self-mastery. So again, the question is, what does that mean? And again, to illustrate, I want to do an exercise with everybody. Again, I'll explain the exercise, and then we do it together. So this exercise will last about, I think, maybe 1 minute. And I'd like you to bring attention. Again, the keyword is attention. Attention to different parts of your body. So I'm going to say attention on the face, neck, shoulders, and then chest and stomach. So as I go down, you just bring your attention to those places. That's all. Okay, sounds good? Okay, sit in the position that allows you to be comfortable, and just bring a very gentle attention to the sensations on the face. Now bring attention to the neck, experiencing whatever is there to experience. Now bring attention to the shoulders. Now bring attention to the chest. And now bring attention to the stomach. Finally, bring attention to the whole body at once. And thank you for your attention. So again, you might wonder why we just did that. If I was your age, I was sitting there, I would think that's so stupid. The reason we just did that is to train the faculty called self-knowledge. So first, a question: where do you experience emotion? Emotion, I would say, is experienced in the body. For example, certain emotions, you experience it as tightness in the forehead, tightness in the neck, and so on. Certain emotions experienced as discomfort in the chest, or as like your whole stomach is falling off. And certain emotions experienced as lightness, and it's in the body that you experience it. So when you bring attention to the body, what happens is you're strengthening the part of the brain called the insula. And the brain now becomes more in tune with the body. And the more you do it, the more the brain can sense the body. For example, if you do this a lot, you develop ability to hear your own heartbeat. So why is that important? Being able to sense the body to that degree, what it allows you to do is to create a high-resolution perception into the process of emotion. So what it means is it allows you to sense very minute changes in the body, and therefore in emotion, in very thin slices of time, and therefore in real time. And the English word is emotional awareness. You become very attuned with your own emotionality. So yes, okay, so what does that do for me? What it does for you is it creates another faculty which is even more important, which is called a self-assessment, which is you become very good at assessing yourself. How do I feel? Am I happy? And what are my values? Right? Things like that. So again, why is that important? According to research, I think there was a study on highly effective leaders, and all of them have this faculty, Self-assessment is one of the most important qualities of an effective leader. Why? Partly because if you have that level of self-assessment, you know what motivates you. You know what fits your values, and therefore you know how to motivate yourself. And part of it is because if you know yourself very well, you know your strengths and your weaknesses. Therefore, you know what you need to do and where you need help. And that's what makes you highly effective. Yeah. And it goes beyond that. Let me see, how do I say it? Okay. When you have a very keen sense of emotionality, there is a small shift that has a huge significance. Your experience of emotion goes from existential to experiential. It's okay, what does that mean? Usually, when we experience an emotion, we think of it as ourselves. For example, we say, I am angry. I am sad. That emotion is me. And the problem, if the emotion is me, there's not much I can do about it. However, if you have a keen emotional awareness, there is a switch from I am sad to I am experiencing sadness. So it goes from the emotion is me to I am experiencing it. Why is that important? For somebody on the depression spiral, for somebody going through that one thought is the difference between life and death. Because this person goes from I am depressed to I am experiencing depression. So previously, this person is, because he is depression, there is no hope. But once you go in from I am that to I'm just experiencing it, suddenly there is a difference. And suddenly the hope opens up. So that one simple realization is the first step out of that depression and suicide cycle. So therefore, this one thought is the difference between life and death. It's very powerful. And also in normal life, so not just in the suicide situation. It's like no matter how difficult things are, if you're aware, I'm just simply experiencing it, then it doesn't completely take over you. In Son, there's a very nice way to describe it. It's called a big sky mind. It's like emotions are like clouds in the sky. Most important, the clouds are not the sky. This emotion is not me. This intense pain is not me. I'm simply experiencing it. And it gets better. As your emotional awareness becomes deeper and deeper, there's another shift. The shift goes from experiential to physiological. So what does that mean? This is when you realize that this experience of emotion, this sadness, this depression, whatever it is, this experience of emotion is simply the experience in the body. For example, I have a pain in my hand. It is simply an experience in my body. Imagine that my depression, my sadness is the same level of experience as pain in my hand. And if you understand that, my friends, that begins mastery over emotions. So those simple practices, they are that powerful. So that's step 2. Okay. Now step 3, which is kindness and compassion. Okay, again, what does that mean? So I want to do a 10-second practice. Again, I tell you what the practice is, and then we do. So the practice is you secretly choose 2 people in this room. So don't say out loud, right? So just secretly, and then just secretly wish. I wish for this person to be happy. I wish for that person to be happy. Don't like look at them. Don't like. So just secretly think. Sounds good? 10 seconds begin now. And thank you for your attention. You notice that when you're doing this practice, you were smiling. You notice that to be on the giving end, not receiving end, the giving of a kind thought makes you happy. My friends, this is one of the most powerful secrets of meditation, right? All you have to do is think, I wish for somebody to be happy. Already you're happier. But wait, it gets better than that. What happens if you do this a lot? So in a work situation, if you like in a meeting room, you walk in the meeting room and you look at everybody and just secretly think, I wish for these people to be happy. So when you're doing this, from a receiving end, you don't know what the other person is thinking because it's thinking secretly. However, somehow you can feel it. And the reason you can feel it is because of these neurons in the brain called mirror neurons. They unconsciously reflect the physiology of the other person. So even though when they are wishing for people to be happy, they don't know it, but they sense that somehow every time they see you, they love to see you. Which means what? Which means long term. Long term, if you need help, there are people there to help you. And long term, you're more successful. And better than that, it makes you a better human being, right? Imagine every human being you meet, and that's the very first thought. I wish for this person to be happy. And it gets even better than that. If you do that a lot, what happens? If you have a thought a lot, what happens is it becomes a habit. And habit means you just look at a random person, that's the first thought, just habitual, right? I wish for that person to be happy. Habit becomes personality. Personality becomes character. Character becomes you. Which means what? Which means with this very simple practice, you become a different person. You become a kind person. You become the kind of person that is loving, who's kind, the kind of person that you will be proud of. Yeah, with this simple practice. So these are the three things: attention training, self-knowledge leading to self-mastery, kindness and compassion. Okay, so I wrote a whole book about it. By the way, this is a 7-week class that I teach, or used to teach. So this is just a sampler. And so, everybody remember the practices we did? The first practice was bring attention to the breath. Every time it wanders away, bring it back. Second practice was bring awareness to the body, to specific parts of the body related to emotions, and then the whole body, all at once. And the third practice was secretly wishing for people to be happy. Oh, thank you. So, thank you. So in closing, I just want to say a few things. First, I want to encourage all of you to practice. So it's like I'm just showing you how to exercise. If you don't exercise, you're not going to get fit. And I want all of you to be fit. I want all of you to go out there and change the world. You're all Buddhists. You're all going to be leaders. So first thing is practice. Second thing is I want to tell you how lucky we all are. Everything that I just taught you, I didn't come up with any of it. These are all the things I learned from the Buddha. Those of us who have access to the teachings of the Buddha, we are the luckiest people in the world. So remember these two things: practice and gratitude to the Buddha. If you do this, let me finish. If you do this, all of you will graduate to be outstanding leaders. And I want all of you, again, to change the world. Yeah. And thank you very much.